Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 239. Let's get to it. Okay, I'm pretty tempted to just take this Gangplank. I feel like we've drafted these other champions fairly recently. I know we just did Tarek in the previous trial, maybe, or two trials ago. The previous one was Leona, but it was actually this exact same pool, plays and buffs. I think it was this one. I know it was 100% definitely the starting pack, and we cruised that one to a 7-0 victory. I think we're okay with taking the Gangplank. This is a pretty reasonable start. Um, and the Teemo also okay, but I feel like I don't know. I really like Teemo, but I just feel like we draft him all the time. But let's take this Gangplank real quick, and we'll take a moment. We'll get him pulled up on the site. We can talk about him a little more. So, if you're not familiar with the site, it's ftpbus.com. We're over here on the Expedition Helper section. We're just going to click the little drop down thing, scroll down to Gangplank, and pick up Raiding Party. And so this one pairs up with Sejuani, and then kind of the idea here, there's the two themes going on with it. There's number one, trying to either level up your Gangplank or your Sejuani, which is it's hard to do if you're just attacking on your own turn or getting these chunks of damage in on your own turn. Ideally, even if you start on the first turn, then it would be turn 9 before you're able to actually flip your Gangplank. So to bring the assist with that, you do have things like Warning Shot, which we had in our opening pack, and then Make It Rain, which brings the AoEs to your opponent. So if you're really wanting to level up your Gangplank, both of these themes are pretty important. And then otherwise, the other theme here is just Plunders. And so you're looking to hit Plunders, activate your black market merchants, activate your pilfered goods, and then start taking the cards out of your opponent's deck. If you're looking to chase after that strategy, ideally, in my opinion, the best unit to pull that off with is Prowling Cutthroat. But Crackshot Corsair also fits the bill as a way to do that. The reason I lean towards the Cutthroat is it does it on the first turn, and so it's very easy for us to say play a Crackshot Corsair, and then our opponent plays a just any any one drop, and we'll stop our Gangplank from ticking up, probably at the cost of the Corsair, but the Cutthroat extremely hard to deal with in the early game. And so, as far as this goes, that's really all this pool has going for it. The way that we typically end up drafting this is we pair it with Freylord, how they want, Sejuani and Gangplank paired up here, and then we tend to go into overwhelms on the Freylord side of things, and so we tend to use the Bilgewater side as the activator. And so if we say want to activate a Wolf Rider and hit his Plunder without having to attack, we can have to do that from the Bilgewater side. But all of the payoff, in my opinion, is over in Freylord. And so, nonetheless, we'll see how this plays out. This is a pretty good start. At least has a lot of good early game to it, and then has a lot of card draw. Has our kind of standard weaknesses as far as Bilgewater is concerned. There's not a lot of good late game. The good stuff is all in the epics with things like Riptide Rex and the Dreadway, and then there's not any real good interaction. And so, we ideally want some kind of big get anything removal spell, which this just doesn't have. Strong Arm doesn't really count. This takes quite a bit of work to actually pull off. And then there's none of the kind of like middling removal. There's no like Whirling Death style card within this pool. You have your cards like Make It Rain and Parlay that deal a point of damage. You have your cards like Shakedown that give things vulnerable, but there's no just kind of, attempted Calling Strike on your opponent's unit or anything. So, Gangplank, though, reasonable start. And let's see who he gets paired up with. All of these are, reasonable. If we want to take advantage of the Gangplank, though, I think we're going to have to pair it up with this Braum. Kind of the thing with Gangplank is I do want to look to see if we can hit, something to do with these powder kegs, right? And so it's pretty tough to do in these other pools. It doesn't do that with this Tarek. The problem with pairing Bilgewater with Tarek is they don't really interact well, right? If Gangplank is looking for cheap units and things to take advantage of Plunder, you don't really get that out of Collective Support. And then if out of this Collective Support Tarek, he's looking for combat tricks, which just completely don't exist in Bilgewater. So we can let this one go. This Arachnophilia Draven is okay, but I'm just not a humongous fan of pairing it with Bilgewater as well. It's just not a lot of payoff between the two card pools. It tends to just be a Draven deck that has some direct damage cards in it. So there should at least be some interaction here with this Braum. Both of these bros have overwhelm over here. That is kind of the way that you hit your plunders via Freylord. Is you're playing I don't know, like the 2-cost 3/1 overwhelm trample attacking, and then overwhelming for a point of damage to hit your plunders. Oh, come on, bud, you can help. Yeah, come on, come on. Yeah. Sorry, we got. Oh man, he's not even going to jump up here. He'll be here in a minute. But no, these the overwhelms are typically the way that you get plunders out of Freylord, and so these do pair together reasonably well. Ideally, this would be with a Sejuani, but I think this Fluft and Tuft will be okay. Kind of the big thing that we have to look at with Fluft and Tuft is if we're actually going to go after the Poros theme. I do know that one of the big things with this is there are things, I don't list them on the site because we don't really know how they work, but there's the cohesiveness rating and then the wild pick bonus, and then basically if your deck has like a high cohesiveness rating, then the more the contents of your deck look like that card pool, the more likely they'll show up in synergy picks. And this one does have a high cohesiveness rating, so if you don't take these poros at the beginning of the trial, then the poros will stop showing up. And so I shouldn't say the poros, I should say Fluft and Tuft will stop showing up. Whereas if we do start taking the cards that exist in this card pool, then we should see these more frequently between both the synergy picks and the wild picks. Again, I don't know exactly how it works. They haven't come out and say, this does that or this is how it works. It's at a real high level what's going on there. And it kind of makes sense, right? If you're drafting this deck has a big desire to have all of these Poro cards, but then if you're looking at something like Poro Snacks, if it's pick 12 and your deck has nothing to do with Poros in it, then seeing Poro Snacks show up as a card choice feels bad. And so it's kind of Riot's way of fixing, making these, very deck-specific cards from showing up. But nonetheless, back to the Fluft and Tuft, we'll have to see if we actually do build towards the Poros. We can. The kind of downside with it is I don't think the Bilgewater Poro is very good. The Plunder Poro is not, because like what we tend to see with these Poro decks is you play all of these cards real early, and then you either close out the games with the Heart of Fluft or with They Who Endure. And if you're trying to do it with Heart of Fluft, then you really want this to have a way to get evasion. So I typically try to have like Ionia for elusives, or even Shadow Isles for fearsomes. But it's not a particularly huge deal. It's just kind of ideal if we're going to have to build towards the Heart of Fluft. But otherwise, there's not a lot of really combos between these two pools other than who's he called? Mighty Poro having Overwhelm, which is, it's good. It's very useful. And then also these They Who Endures that we just picked up having Overwhelm. And so we'll see how these play out. I do like the idea of being in Bilgewater plus Freylord. Like if we're building towards Gangplank, then looking for overwhelms, we'll ignore the Poro theme, and then if we see some good Poros early, doesn't mean that we can't say like find some Jagged Taskmasters and find some Professor Von Yips to play with the really good 1-drops out of Bilgewater. So it's kind of up in the air with what will happen, but this is how I like these drafts to play out. We can build towards Gangplank pretty well with Braum, or we can build towards this 1-drops Poro theme pretty reasonably with Bilgewater, and so I think this will be a reasonable pick. Okay, and here this isn't a pack that's really wanting to push me towards drafting Poros. I'm very excited to be picking up the Mighty with the Make It Rain. So this is a fairly easy pick over here, in my opinion. The Chum the Water Slippery Wave Rider, just not what we're looking for right here. Okay. You can kind of see with these Freylord cards that are showing up now. You have the Plunder, and then you have the cheap unit that can hit a overwhelm damage and level up our Gangplank, hit Plunders. But with this one, I'm not going to take the Raiding Party pack. I do like these Ruthless Raiders, but the big thing that we'll run into with these decks is having a way to interact, and Caught in the Cold is one of the few ways that we can do that. It's not a spectacular card, but being able to force a unit into combat is pretty important. And then Ancient Yeti has Overwhelm. He can come down kind of cheap. He's just some pretty good top end for this kind of deck. Come on, bud. There you go. Yeah, you can help out now. So pretty happy to pick that one up. Okay, another interesting one. I think the Fluft and Tuft is just going to go away. When it comes to the poros, I don't like starting with things like poro snacks. I really want to be starting with Lonely Poro. That's the one cost one that generates another one. I think he's ideally the early game poro that you're looking for. We just haven't seen him show up. And so as far as these go, this Brittle Steel Rhyme Tusk Shaman is pretty good, but I'm leaning towards just taking Yeti Yearlings. I do really like having access to both Yeti Yearling and Avarosian Trapper in our deck. The big thing with the Yeti Yearling is he gives us a 1-drop, and so we can, we don't have any 1-drops up to this point. He's just a pretty good way to start getting our Gangplanks level up from the first turn of the game. Okay, but as far as that end goes, I'm not taking Tall Tales. I do like me a Yeti, but not that much. And so the Reaver is pretty good in these Overwhelm-based decks, but we're not going to take a Tall Tales with this. And so we could, pick up these Noxus cards. I do enjoy me a Noxus Freylord Overwhelm deck, but we shouldn't have too much trouble finding the Overwhelms. And so I'm just going to take the Troll Chant with the reasonable early to mid-game unit. Okay, this pack is trash. There's no two ways around that. I'm going to take the Warning Shot. I don't really like Chum the Waters, but it does make an Overwhelm unit and let us interact a little bit. This is kind of like the bottom end of the cards that I'm okay to have in our deck, but these other ones are pretty bad. We've ignored Poros the whole way, so we can't take Poro Snacks. Arnsguard Reaver's pretty bad, and then Take Heart, just not really the kind of card we're looking for here. Doesn't synergize with anything we're doing. Okay. Ugh, this hand is bad. Another one. Another Tall Tales we don't want. Sleight of Hand is garbage, and then Bayou Brunch is also pretty bad here. But I guess out of all of these cards, Make It Rain is the one that we would want the most. And so we'll just take the Sleight of Hand, and hopefully we can trade it away at some point. Okay, then this one's pretty interesting. I think I just want to get a Yearling with the Brittle Steel. I think we're kind of good on these Make It Rain style effects. If we pick up another one, fine. If we don't, also fine. I think 2 is a pretty decent number here. If we were in more of like a Mega Keg style deck where we had the dudes that generate Powder Kegs, then sure, go ahead and pick up a third Make It Rain. I just don't think it's that important here. And so we'll take the Yeti Yearling with the Brittle Steel. These Poro Snacks are showing up like super late throughout this whole trial. That's interesting. I'm surprised that they're showing up around pick 9 and pick 10 when we haven't picked any Poros except for the Mighty one. But with these, this is pretty close. I think we'll just take the interaction with the Rhymefang Wolf Brittle Steel. Rhymefang Wolf isn't super good in our deck, but Brittle Steel should be okay. It's a pretty good combat trick. The other option is the 2 1-drops, which I'm also kind of interested in. We only have 2. This isn't a deck where I want to push up like a full 10. We haven't seen enough like Pilfered Goods, Black Market Merchants to make it really worth it, but we do need more than 4. I think we probably want like 5 to 7 as far as 1-drops go. So we should probably at least pick up a handful of them here to help fix our curve. Okay. And here, this will be the Rhymefang Wolf we take. I'm always happy to have one Rhyme Tusk Shaman in these decks. The only thing that we're really lacking here is our top end is a bit light. So I think we'll be good as far as interaction goes at this point. Our big thing to get out of the rest of this draft will just be to like find one big unit and see if we can't pull that off. Okay, here's some good interaction. Finally getting that Brittle Steel we were looking for. I won't put Monkey Businesses in our deck, even though we'd really like to have Ruthless Raiders. Okay, they show up again, but no, all the Yetis we are looking for, very good. Love an Avarosian Trapper, and then Ancient Yetis, pretty good on the top end of things. All right, perfect. Got the one last big boy we're looking for here, and then either between Alpha Wildclaw or the Scar Maiden Reaver, and then I'm just going to take the Alpha Wildclaw here. We don't need like a whole lot of top end, but I think this will be good considering that we're going to be we're planning on taking 2 more Gangplanks, and that kind of just solidifies our top end having this one Alpha Wildclaw. But I don't really want to be, stacked up too high with these. Since we are planning on having the 3 Gangplanks. And so, as the draft progresses, we'll probably find our way into having like one more big unit, which is fine. But I like where we're at right now at the end of the draft. So I'm going to take the Wildclaw. Then our last choice, just getting rid of sleight of hand is very good. Don't want this card, and then we have lots of ways to activate this. What you tend to run into problems with Wolf Rider is you have to be in a deck that can really get this activated. There's a lot of Freylord decks that just put units on the board, but they can't overwhelm, and he's very awkward to level up. Tends to be a lot of Trundle decks like that, but this one shouldn't have any troubles hitting these Plunders. All right. Oh man, almost forgot. Almost forget every time now. We gotta go and level something up. And so I think with this one, let's do the Mighty Poro in this one. He feels like he's going to be kind of like the cornerstone of our deck. Just kind of this mid-game overwhelm, very very useful. So let's go in. Find us that Poro. Make sure it's not already not already premium. No, you're the first one, bro. You got it. All right, he's ready for battle. All right, I can already feel my voice cracking. Hopefully, it makes it through the whole one, the whole expedition. Okay, Callista and Quinn. So, I mean, it's not an unreasonable curve. I think we can go ahead and hang on to this. The problems we run into with Make It Rain against these Callista decks is if they start playing Cursed Keepers on the second turn, then you can kind of run into a unit that you don't really want to pop with Make It Rains, but I think we can probably play around it. This is probably as good as these are ever going to get. We're just going to have to open. I'm curious if we open if he ever blocks yet a yearling. I think it'll be okay. I think there's a pretty good chance he just lets this through. If you're just gonna like level into them, then they're starting to ask questions like, why would you ever just attack with this if you don't have a combat trick? So perfect. We got our Gangplank hit in. We can play a decent Pilfered Goods now. I don't think we're gonna get around this Callista flipping. I think this is just gonna happen. Alright, well maybe we can take her down with Sharp Sight.
Demacian needs heroes.
Oh, she's definitely flipping. There's nothing we can do about that. He's going to get this hook in. Okay. So I think we're just going to be stuck dropping a Brittle Steel on her. Bringing in Mist Wraiths. It's not ideal. Okay, well let's at least get our big boys online. Then maybe we can get something going on here. He probably doesn't want to block either of our units as this stands. Let's face him with these warning shots. Get him for 2. That's ballsy. It's gonna have 2 removals for this guy? That kind of sucks. Guess this is ultimately a little bit scarier than a Callista. If he attacks with Callista, she brings back Mist Wraith, then we can just throw an Ice Veil Archer in front of her. Okay, I'll take the bait. There's no need to warning shot us. I wanted to see if we could get a needed it to flip a Gangplank in the event we drew one next turn. So I mean that's ultimately fine. We have to do this as well. I guess technically we could do something like block Callista with Badger Bear, sharp sight the Badger Bear so it doesn't die. And then just take 4? We ever win the game like this though? I don't think so. That seems a little sketchy. If he has a trick, it means what are we gonna do? We have to. We can't just let him keep this Quinn on the board. Okay. I don't think that's gonna save us, but you know, it's something to answer this Callista. When he's getting to attack us with 2 champions and we haven't that are both flipped and we haven't drawn any of ours, you know, kind of is what it is. This is, you know, the real problem with these style of decks is we took almost all of the interaction that we saw, but you know, all that interaction is typically limited to just combat tricks with these things like Troll Champ Brutal Steels. We went out of our way to take this one caught in the cold. We didn't see any scrap shots. You know, Make It Rain doesn't do anything against these units, and so you know, kind of is what it is as far as trying to get the kills in here. Okay. Pretty sure this one's done. We have this just random direct damage. I don't want to just give it up, but this is a pretty tough board to overcome. Let's at least do this. If he attacks with Quinn again, we're just gonna be dead. This doesn't matter. Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, interesting. I'm fine with picking up Razor Scale Hunter. It's just at least another way to interact with our opponent's stuff. As you can see in that game, that's our big problem with these decks is just having a way to force something onto your opponent's units. And the Stefan's pretty weak here. We don't have any combos. He's pretty weak if you do have combos, but without any of them, he's pretty passable. Oof. Oh goodness. Not in that perfect match. Perhaps one where we don't where we don't need to interact with anything. Garen and Zed. Sure. They don't typically play well together. But this seems like a reasonable start. We can lead with a Yeti Yearling, maybe get a Plunder for our Jagged Butcher on the second turn, and then start cheapening up these ancient Yetis right from the start. Pretty good. Pretty good way to begin. Everything's going as planned. Okay.
These woods protect their own.
You started without me.
Well, it seems pretty reasonable. I mean, Troll Chant can kind of do the pseudo frostbite kind of effect here. Let's do this. Let's do this. And then let's see what he does. Assume he'll probably want to at least put a blocker somewhere. Then we should be able to get a good Troll Chant on his River Shaper. Also turn off its ability to draw a card. Well, the idea was to do that. It doesn't seem to be the outcome here. So we have a couple choices. I don't think we need to be playing Wolf Rider here. I think we're just going to accept that this sucks with the River Shaper, and then survive down here. And then this will also let us get a Pilfered Goods in.
A gift from the river folk.
Okay.
Wisdom is strength.
All right. Well, it's pretty safe this turn with this thing. We can just throw Yeti in front of it. And then we're looking pretty decent as far as. I mean, if he ever looks real scary, we can just play the Gazbil of Ionia back onto the horns. Like, this is probably the turn where we get our Ancient Yeti down and try to just get a go wide attack and play Wolf Rider at the end.
The dead don't need riches.
Shouldn't be too scary. I mean, we have Rager's Resolve if we need it. Got Riposte number 2. Oh, that's much better.
I won't feel a thing.
But do we even care about losing this Gangplank? Not entirely, but pretty far away from flipping. I mean, this turn we'll take him up to 3 ticks, but we don't have any way to level on our opponent's turn.
You dare slack on my ship?
Okay, I think the thing that's kind of like, I'm not like super worried about losing the quality of this unit here as much as I want to just keep all this overwhelm damage on the board, right? We're also able to add Long Claw next turn, or Long Tooth, whatever this thing. What's Long Claw? That's the sword from Game of Thrones, right? But we have a lot of ways that we can get some more overwhelms down next turn.
Let them see me, not you.
All right, so we're most certainly going to Will of Ionia, the Horns of the Dragon. Let's just get wider on this guy. Then if he has a deny for this, it's not the end of the world.
This might hurt you.
Let me lead.
Okay.
Maul them.
Attack with the Gangplank down here on the right. The big thing to worry about here with our lethal is if he has a the thing that gives barrier lifesteal. And so we attack like this because we want him to have to block further down to the left. So if the unit he wants to block the most is Gangplank, we want him to have to take all this damage before he can put a barrier lifesteal unit in front of him.
I won't stop coming for those who wronged me.
Okay, I'm planning on just taking Gangplanks, but I'm also not opposed to picking up Sejuanis. And this is a pretty decent Sejuani paired up with the Ancient Yeti. But I think I just want the card draw here. Take Heart's not like good, but not bad interaction, but I think I just want the card draw. I mean, the best card here is the Hearth card, but I think the quality of these Ancient Yetis drops off pretty fast. Well, I mean, if you're able to play it for like 5 mana, it's not terrible. I think we want to just stack these Gangplanks. Be cool if his flip wasn't awful. Sejuani's flip is much better, but I think this is okay. I'm mainly interested in these black market merchants. Alright, no goose eggs today. Thought it was going to be like the worst day ever. I mean, Patrick Mahomes got hurt yesterday. This is like 2 days ago for you all now, so you've probably been in pain for multiple days in a row. It sucks. It sucks a lot, I know. But nonetheless, with this one, let's get rid of these Gangplanks. They're a little bit too expensive to keep, and we'll try to find some earlier game plays.
Nothing like the stink of blood and sweat.
This is where I talk about liking the who's he called,
Let's get to it.
the name escapes me, the one cost elusive unit. You know, you're almost always able to put it down and attack on the first turn and start trying to get your Gangplank leveled up. It's typically a matter of you know, the only units that can interact with it are the Navori Blade Scout, which is kind of whatever, or you know, your opponent's Teemo, or if it's not Teemo, it's Zoe, and so there's not very many units that can actually interact with it. Excuse me, where your opponent's willing to trade that unit away. You're just playing Yeti Yearling and having it get blanked by our opponent's 1-drop. But the Yetis are starting. What he picked up for Shadow Isles. This is kind of like a Moonlit Heist style theme. Maybe, well, I guess if he's with Diana, and he maybe picked up some Nightfalls. The Moonlit Heist is the Bilgewater Targon pairing of Misfortune and Diana.
These stories were true.
So how's this gonna go? Say he's gonna hook our Trapper with Jagged Butcher. Guess well, he can't even hook this. He could hook this with whatever. But our block onto the onlooker's kind of bad. I think we're just gonna take some damage here. I really want to take this Misfortune down.
It's hard to get rich.
It's too much damage to just take him. Can't eat a 5-hit. I think, though, with our units, our stuff's bigger than his. We have Braum in hand. Like, we're in a pretty good spot to, just as long as we don't lose, we should win. Yeah, look how shiny you are. You're ready for battle and everything. My man.
A chill in the air. Who's angry for action?
Okay.
Hell of a day.
Lock the doors.
Alright, well, let's let these attacks happen first before we play a Raiding Tusk Shaman. I don't want it getting taken down by a shakedown.
Bring me the calm of an ice-shrouded world.
But this is not going to open, but we should be able to handle whatever he has pretty handily. Right. Probably wants to keep the blocker. Makes sense.
The frost reveals all to me.
You wanted wrath.
Sure. So we can't add a unit to the board after that. I think we probably still want to add Braum. I'm not super worried about damage going on to Braum, so well, I guess we should probably hit his Priestess in case he has a Pale Cascade. Let's do it something like this. These guys, you try to make space for the Poro, should he make an appearance. Then I'm not real sure which unit that the Raiding Tusk Shaman will decide to hit. I think it'll hit the Abyssal Eye here, because he technically has more stats. Okay, should push down to the Butcher now.
It is easy, see?
Ice runs in our veins.
Just not super clear what these things actually ever hit with the Raiding Tusk Shaman. I used to think it would pick whatever was, the strongest. So we're ignoring the Jagged Butcher being here, the strongest being the Doom Beast and the Abyssal Eye having 3 attack. And then it says, okay, well, they have the same attack, so let's check their toughness now. So we'll go 1 and 1. And then I thought at that point it would start checking left or right. So it would look and say, okay, Doom Beast is to the left of the Abyssal Eye. That's the one that gets hit. But that is not how things have worked out here recently. And so
Eyes up here, or I'll cut 'em out.
with this, I'm going to go ahead and Brittle Steel. If he has a way to draw a card, then that's okay. But this goes ahead and prevents 3 damage. So he either has no draw, which is good for us, because this Abyssal Eye won't do anything, or if he does have something to go deep, it prevents the maximum amount of damage. Okay, and then gotta get rid of somebody. Guess it's gonna be you. I want to put the Sparkle Fly way down on the right.
Sends chills up my spine.
So we only have a chance to kill 2 units. I don't think that's good enough. I want it to look like this. We're gonna hook this thing with Braum, or I guess we could. Yeah, let's just do it with Braum, so that can happen close to last. Alright, let's do like this. You hook this, you can hook this, you can hook this. Now we're gonna need to pull in more health, so let's do it like this. So we have 8 overwhelm, he can put 4 health in front of him, so that's 4? Are we just completely short across the board here? Yep. Oh man, is he gonna let us get in for the 2? Oh, if you're rolling the dice on that one, but okay. I mean, this is going to be a pretty good make it rain either way, right? If it's just if we hit face, then we win. But he has some pretty juicy targets down here.
Don't ask where it's from, ask how much.
Got him. Better lucky than good sometimes.
They tried to blind me with resplendence, but they could not break me.
This is gonna get him. He's playing cards, thinking he's got it. He's really sticking it to the old FTP bust. Nailed him.
See? Fluft Braum.
Alright, good deal. Good game. Let's see. I certainly don't want Entreat or Double Trouble. I'm tempted to pick up They Who Endure. I don't think this is particularly good in our deck. You typically want this in like the Poros decks, or even say like a Trendemir kind of deck, to where you have a bunch of things like, you know, the Lonely Poros and the Poros that generates, and then Avarosian Trappers, and just a bunch of dudes you're trading away at the early game. And I just don't think that's what we're doing here. So I'm pretty happy to pick up another Trapper, though. These are just kind of the best mid-game in Freylord. So we do want to just pick up like a little bit more top end. I thought we would get to this point. It looks like where we're at. You know, we're going to get another Gangplank. I would really like to maybe pick up 2 more cards. So if we get like an Alpha Wildclaw and then like an Epic or something, then that would be pretty ideal. But I think we're in a pretty good spot here. Okay. And oh man, thing number 2. We got our Marshall hoodie on today. If you're not familiar, the offensive coordinator of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Marshall alumni Byron Leftwich. Good stuff. This is a keeper. If you're not familiar with Byron Leftwich, you can find him on the old YouTube. He did make it to he's an NFL quarterback for like, I don't know, 8 years or so. But his claim to fame, if you will, was there was a play at Marshall. I can't remember. I don't feel like it was a championship game, but it was just a regular game towards the end of the season. I don't remember, but got his leg broken in the middle of a play, and then instead of coming out of the game, the offensive line just carried him down the field, and he finished up with the game-winning drive via broken leg and on-field assistance. Baller. Hard pass. I'll stay away from the old from the contact sports. But with this, nonetheless, I mean, we can let him get into combat here. Curious if he's going to bring in both guys. I think we should probably play Icevale Archer on one, and then try to just Brittle Steel the other one. And then this way, you know, we have a good open attack next turn, and then at best, he's just going to be getting 1 gem out of this. Cool. See if we can get to make it rain amongst amongst all the gemmers out here. Oh, that was a very good troll chant. Can still clean out his board, but he's going to get 2 gems. So we need to do this now. Oh, you ready for more, bud? Come on. Okay. And not the most exciting of turns. I really don't like seeing this guy follow up with an invoke. It feels like we're falling behind. Could just be a function of the cards that we've drawn so far, but feels like he's probably going to be ahead of us. Sure. We can bank here. These don't really add anything to the board. Oh, Yeti, what up?
I bear a message from... Oh, hey, what's that?
Okay. So we'll get the star chart out of this, and we can try to take her down next turn. I don't think it's worth trading a Brittle Steel to deny the star chart. It seems a little ill-advised.
I'll shoot the wings off a bilge wasp.
Careful where you point that thing.
Oh, cool. Just draw all the Yetis. That's why you make them premium. If you aren't aware, it makes them feel good about themselves. Pretty good turn, isn't it, bud? Pretty good stuff.
Hey, you brought back my favorite star!
This all seems good to me. Need more pets, bud. It seems alright, doesn't it? Really need a pilfered goods or something. It's not good being out of cards like this against this dude's actual infinite cards he has going on.
It's in the portal! Danger noodle!
Danger Noodle, really? Okay, so I think I'm willing to just go ahead and trade off this Yeti. I don't think it's ever going to get a interesting block. And the big thing that comes out of this is the question of, like, what if he has Troll Chant? And he can just save his Zoe either way, right? So let's just hook down here on the... I guess, like, this way's probably better. He has a, like, Elixir of Iron or something that we could still protect against the Zoe. Or if he has, like, he can't Brittle Steel down the Yeti, I think this is fine. I'm not super worried about hanging on to Jagged Butcher here. We're just way ahead on board, assuming we can, assuming we can get a little bit more damage in. Would have loved to have spent that Brittle Steel if I'd known we were just going to draw another one. But I mean, at least, like, the big thing with our deck here is, you know, if we take a look at our curve, we've drawn, like, almost the entirety of all of the cheap half of our deck and then nothing at the top end. And so, you know, doing a little mathematics, hopefully, you know, we should be more likely to draw from the top end than the bottom end, given what's left there. But we'll have to see how this plays out. Just actually not playing cards? Okay, there you go. I was like, there's no way he's not playing cards. Okay. Gotta find something. Sure. I think we have to open, though. The trapper is at least some kind of something, but it's just too easy for him with all of the invokes that he's played to just drop some kind of big unit here. Just completely shut down our attack.
Break the strong, slaughter the weak.
There's an argument to not actually play the Trapper, because this Yeti's not like the best draw that we could be getting, but I don't think we can go that route. We just gotta punch in just a little bit more damage. We're so close to getting there. The problem with these Yetis is they can just be blocked forever. I think this one's pretty much out of reach. Can't imagine that this one goes well for us at this point forward. But no reason to give up. Let's see if we can't do something. Okay. Sure.
Only a scratch. Breathe it in. Don't leave.
Not really what we were looking for. I mean, we could trade our board for his board, minus the trapper value block that he would get here. I think that's all we can realistically do. Maybe he'll take 5 here, but I think he's most certainly blocking something with the messenger.
We have no quarrel.
Okay, we'll just give it up there. Not enough top end. Oh, maybe we have enough. We just kind of didn't. We didn't draw it there. Let's see. I think I'm kind of happy with all these. We should probably be getting rid of these warning shots. We don't have enough enough plunders for these to really be effective. Maybe that's close. It's kind of one of these things. If we're able to trade into them, though, I would be pretty happy to have them make an appearance. I think I'm actually just going to skip all of these. I don't think we have enough top end to be picking up mighty poros. I want to hang on to our 1-drops to start our gangplanks going up, and then I think we can probably trade into having enough plunders to where these warning shots are good. Let's skip all those. It's close. I wouldn't fault anyone for trading out that warning shot for the Ice Veil Archer. This is what I kind of like envision what our deck looks like as a deck that gets 7 wins. I feel like those warning shots are a part of it. So I would like to hang on to them. Okay, I think we can get rid of everything here. None of this actually plays to any of our themes. Alright, let's spew it all out. Maybe we just bank the 1 spell mana. I think that's fine. We're never blocking with this next turn. Okay, we have to play it now. There is a very reasonable chance he doesn't attack back into us. Trundle Diana, I'll take it. He's not getting any kind of plunder or effect out of this yearling.
Take heart.
You back again, bud? Yeah, no. You lost the last one. Oh. Dropping a Nightfall? That never, I was gonna say, that never feels good. For a priestess, that works.
Calm mind and open heart greet the night.
The dead don't need riches. Show me your best.
You were misguided.
Okay, cool. Good. I'm glad we get this punch in. Activates our. Oh, we had a dude on the board. I was paying attention to my kitty, and I wasn't sure we were going to get a plunder in there. But I think we're good to go ahead and shared spoils. Okay. Sure. Can't troll chant out of that one. Gotta get some value out of these real fast, though. See what we can do with this Raiding Wolf.
One Freljord.
This doesn't do anything here, so we need to open.
Let's get to it.
I've got us covered.
Stand and defend.
Blessed by snow and stars.
So his doesn't kill ours, which is fine. But we need to survive this middle attack. Boosted, you get shrunk. I don't think we need to play any others. I mean, we could play a second troll chant, but I don't think this is super worthwhile over here. Maybe we go ahead and just brittle steel. That's okay. Never going to get value out of this thing otherwise. Okay, so I mean, we got to win this one real fast. If, all of our opponent's units are going to be getting that +1/+1. We really need to be finding a Gangplank, not just having this really uninteractive kind of hand that we have here.
Our banner will lead the way.
Can't completely get out of this, right? We don't have enough health. Oh, this is bad. So, I mean, we can trade a troll chant for something. We could put the Raiding Wolf in front of this guy.
Say your farewells.
Let's see where this gets us.
This would be a good winter.
Okay. Alright, we'll hit it like 75% of the time. So let's go ahead and spew this. I don't think he's ever gonna... Oh, fuck, we just missed. Oh, this is bad. This is bad. Well, I think what we'll have to see how this plays out here. It's unfortunate because he's going to play a unit that has more than 3 health, but what the fuck was this? With 3 spells that we played this game? Okay. Oh yeah, just wonderful, wonderful. This one's pretty much done. I think the kind of the spot we were at least hoping to be in was that we could caught in the cold this thing. We can still do this. We can hook it with the Ancient Yeti. Let's just not leave us in a good spot otherwise. Like we just like have to find a Gangplank. So we can at least try to get that like AoE blast on his team and then deal some overwhelm damage, but this is not good. Can't add this, or you can just hook it with these things. We're not quite dead here. We have some good blocks on what he has. Not good blocks. We have some blocks on the stuff that he has. Okay. Sure.
An auspicious season.
Nothing we can do about that. So we gotta do something with this 10 health of overwhelm. It's like we have to draw Gangplank, or the game's done. Well, all right, we at least did that part of it. Does he summon one when I'm summoned or round start? Okay.
Bilgewater is mine and mine alone.
I don't feel like this is enough, especially when he has like a spell shielded unit. Do 2 to everything. So it's essentially like 6, 12. There'd be like 6. This is 10, 16, plus 6, 22. He's got 9, 14, 15, 16. Yeah, we're nowhere near.
Blessed by snow
Nowhere
and
near it.
stars.
Oh, okay, sure. Alrighty, well,
Auspicious season.
did what we did to to try to get there, but it just didn't pan out.
I'll have my revenge, one way or t'other.
All right, that was a bit unfortunate. I'm not sure like what went wrong there. It feels like some of our draws were kind of poor, but then it feels like some of our deck didn't come together completely well. And then we didn't really draw the champions at the spot we needed. Like a lot of that run just didn't go right, and so that's a bit unfortunate. I like the kind of style that we took after here, and I think our game plan was good. It just felt like some of our numbers were wrong. I mean, maybe we shouldn't have pursued like the Averosian Trappers and Yeti Gearlings, but I feel like the Yetis played pretty well. It just seems like we never had any of this like top end of our curve. I think that was our big thing, was we just didn't take enough expensive cards. Or I mean we're at like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that's a pretty reasonable number. So I think we just kind of had awkward draws. I mean, it seems like we won every game to where we drew Ancient Yeti, and then we lost every game where we didn't. Like if we, it feels like if we drew a unit that cost 5 or more mana, then we won the game. Excluding that last one where we do Gangplank on the very last turn of the game. I'm not like 100% sure on how that completely played out, but that really feels like what happened to us there. But, I still think this is a pretty reasonable deck. Whenever we're drafting the Raiding Party, I do prefer to be on the Sejuani side, just because, you could see in those games to where the extent of our interaction is caught in the cold. I don't like completely remember the entirety of the draft, but I think the number of shakedowns we saw was 0. I'm trying to think. I know for certain for scrap shots we saw 0, parlays we saw 0. I'm pretty sure the only like interaction we ever saw was the handful of Make It Rains. I know we passed one Make It Rain, and then I believe I passed on a like Challenger Wolf or 2. But in general, that is like the big problem that you're going to run into with this deck, is there's just no way to interact with your opponent's cards within this kind of Freylord Bilgewater pairing, unless you pick up some of these challenger centric ones. But as far as just like damage based removal, or something that says, hey, I'm going to kill one of your units type removal, those just do not exist. And so we did go out of our way to pick this caught in the cold. I called it out right here in the beginning in this pick 4. This is the big problem we're going to run into with this deck, and it certainly was. It was most certainly the problem we ran into here. And so I think this kind of came out okay. So the kind of like the problems that we run into, the warning shots. I still stand by my ideal with this warning shot, as to where if our deck is going to look like a 7-win deck, these warning shots need to be in here. There's just so many combos with the Plunders to where like we're activating a Wolf Rider on our opponent's turn, or we are using it to pilfered goods. You're usually able to get these chains to where you say like, okay, it's my opponent's turn, I want to get a tick up on my Gangplank, and I want to get a Plunder, and the warning shot takes care of that. It just didn't look so hot here. You really need to be getting like some of these card advantage cards like Black Market Merchant and Pilfered Goods going to make up for the card disadvantage you get out of this. And so I think that was like actually our deck problem number 1, is we didn't pick up enough Black Market Merchants and enough Pilfered Goods to really support these warning shots. And so I know there were a lot of games that we drew a lot of warning shots, and that is kind of like getting just a you know, a -1 card if you don't have a way to activate it. And so that was kind of the problem. I still stand by playing these. I can't remember if we had the opportunity to pick up more pilfered goods or more black market merchants, but that was kind of a big problem here. Otherwise, I mean, there isn't a whole lot of cards where I just be like, yeah, I don't want that. You know, I don't want Chum the Waters. I don't want Take Heart. And that's kind of it. And so that's weird. I know we tend to have a lot of success with this on the Sejuani side, and I know the last time we drafted the Gangplank Plunder deck paired with Freylord, we took it to 7. Because I specifically remember going out of my way to draft Gangplanks instead of Sejuanis. So it is good. There's a lot of good stuff you can do with this one. I just think it just feels like a combination of just like a few of the numbers that we have here are just a bit off, and then we caught some low rolls on those draws there. But nonetheless, if you do yourself look to draft this kind of Freylord Bilgewater, this is the Raiding Party style of deck. Again, this is a Plunder based deck. You know, kind of the big things, the big question you're going to be asking yourself is how do we get our Gangplank to level up? And then, you know, the way on your turn, the easy way to get it to go is either A, be wider than your opponent, or B, have overwhelm units. And so with the go wider than your opponent, I don't really like pursuing that strategy outside of the first turn. I really like slamming 1-drops in this deck. That's why we went out of our way to grab these Yeti Yearlings. But, you know, if it's Yeti Yearling, Prowling Cutthroat, Jagged Butcher, Crackstar Corsair, doesn't matter. You usually want between like 6 or 7 1-drops. Because it's not the end of the world if you don't draw one, but it is super good if you do. Really just push getting your Gangplanks leveled up, right? Because if you don't play one on the first turn, and then you know, you assume that you overwhelm every turn throughout the rest of the game, you're probably not getting it to like turn 11 to flip your Gangplank. And so that leads us into point number 2: is you do need some way to tick up your Gangplank or your Sejuani on your opponent's turn. And that's typically just either Warning Shot or Make It Rain. And so this is pretty close to the numbers I like with these. I do like 2 Make It Rains. I do like 2 Warning Shots. If you have some of the Powder Keg generators, like there's the Dreadway Deckhand that costs 2, a 2/2 for 2 that makes Powder Keg, or the 3/1 for 3 that makes either a 1-drop or a Powder Keg, then by all means, try to pick up a third one. But this is a fairly weak card in the current meta game. This doesn't kill a whole lot, and so you need to be getting some kind of and value out of this. And so it's typically, you know, kill a unit and level up Gangplank, or kill a unit and hit a Plunder. It's just not good enough as an AoE onto our opponent's units anymore. They need to update that image. This thing has cost 3 mana for ages. But yeah, otherwise, the big thing with this deck is your overwhelms. You're looking to hit them from, you know, typically turn 3 forward. You have your access to Mighty Poro, Wolf Rider, and then there's the Spirit Claw Ursine at 5 to go along with Gangplank. There's also the 4/5 Overwhelm Regenerate at 5. And then up here at 6, you have your Alpha Wildclaw, and at 7, your Ancient Yeti. And you know, outside of just pausing through the early game, doing whatever you can to get some of these Gangplank level ups from, you know, turn 4, turn 5 forward, you're really wanting to just drop one of these big overwhelms every turn of the game. So that was where, you know, this deck felt pretty weak for us, was that strategy that we're trying to pull off. We just didn't quite hit, you know, any of these expensive cards in our curve, and, you know, kind of struggled to take over. It felt like every single game we were doing very good in the early game, whether or not it was just getting wide or getting down some of these trappers and getting down some Yetis, and then we just never hit our top end. It was really strange and awkward, but that is the kind of general game plan you will look at with this style of deck. But that is going to do it for us for this run. I don't think we have any rewards. Don't see anything shining over here, so if that's what you were here for, I'm sorry. We are a world of disappointment today. But that is going to do it for today. I hope you all learned how to plunder just a little bit better, maybe had an educational moment or two, and had a good time along the way. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.